And this idea of offloading or offsourcing everything to AI, we risk our most valuable resource, which is our human context, our creativity, our ability to understand contextually, like in the environment, those things. Those are really hard challenges for AI to tackle, and yet we are kind of like expected to offload that. So when I think about operations, it's human-centric.
We are back at RSAC 2026, right here live on the show floor where everything is happening. And it is my pleasure to be joined by Johnny Hand. He is the VP for AI Excellence at TrendAI. Johnny, thanks so much for taking the time for us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here at RSA.
Before we dig into some of the things we want to talk about, I would love to learn a little more about you, your professional journey of where you got your start and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, it starts back in 2006. I was in the Navy working in technology, and then kind of got pushed into the role of an information assurance manager, kind of a newly developed thing, and worked and got my CISSP, which was a big moment back then, and then just really fell in love with the idea of defending from a cybersecurity perspective, and then worked through that. Kind of grew up in leadership, had the opportunity uniquely to work with SEAL teams and do operations with SEAL teams, which was a fairly unique thing in my role, but learned so much, fell in love with operations, which was great. And that really gave me this like contextualization of how an organization works, which just made me a better cyber defender. And as I was getting ready to get out of the Navy in 2012 to 2014, I joined the Navy Cyber Defense Operations Command, which at the time was the only really 24/7 security operations center for the entire DoD. So we, with the Department of Defense, we actually deployed all of the IPS sensors and the defensive mechanisms for kind of our global information grid. And I worked in that group there with a large SOC, and then leading operations from that perspective, and really kind of took those points I learned from doing special operations and applied that with defensive cyber folks, which was fun and different for many of them because they've never done operations. And then I got out in 2014, looked at moving into the civilian sector, and had an opportunity to start with the Savannah College of Art and Design.
SCAD.
At SCAD, yeah, which was great because it's a creative field, which is very unique. It was early in 2013 into 2014, they were actually really aggressive about wanting to build a cybersecurity program, which was unique, not only in the university landscape, but certainly unique for an art school.
Right.
And had the opportunity to just kind of like make it my own, take some of those practices I learned from defensive cyber operations and really build a solid team that I was very proud of. And just recently, literally 90 days ago, I had an opportunity to move over from the customer perspective and jump into this journey with TrendAI as they launched into enterprise security and started really focusing on advancing AI, defending AI, and becoming number one really in AI security globally.
Explain to me what AI operational excellence means.
It's a great question because we have so many AI terms out there. And I think, if I'm being honest, we probably get, blanket marketed with AI terms. That one came about because of really a simple context, which is this idea that we kind of, if you will, fantasize a little bit about what AI could do for you, but we don't root it in what AI is actually doing for you. And I talked about operations. I love the applicability of technology, like in a real meaningful and impactful way. So as we talked about the opportunity with TrendAI, I said, hey, let's make sure that not only are we securing AI, but we're doing it in a meaningful way. And I always use the old adage that the high tide lifts all boats. And I think what we really want is we expect AI to be that high tide that kind of lifts everybody up, creates efficiencies, makes us more efficient and with less friction. But if I'm being honest, I don't think we've realized that very well. And so my focus with TrendAI is to help the organization in a meaningful way adopt technologies and innovation that actually applies to everyone in the organization and allows us to move faster, more efficient, with less fragmentation.
I think if I could build off of your metaphor, I suspect there are a lot of people here walking around this show floor who fear that they may be knocked over by the wave of AI, not just rise with the tide, but get smacked in the back by that wave and go tumbling through the surf.
Yeah.
Is that a perspective that you have empathy for?
100%. Yeah. I think that the fear of the unknown gets amplified because in the generation of AI that we're doing today and the excitement of it, we're kind of like rushing full speed ahead. In fact, the innovation and the adoption is happening so fast in a way that honestly I haven't seen in other technologies. You've seen a lot of technologies that come through the enterprise. Maybe they're targeted towards businesses and adopted in an organizational level, like we talk about cloud security and even go back to data centers and virtualization. But AI really came to the forefront for the consumer first with OpenAI dropping ChatGPT. People were really excited about it. So you had this eagerness and excitement kind of frothing around.
Mm-hmm.
But then as everyone was running with it, then we said, whoa, wait a minute. And there's a very real sense of fear from people going, hey, is this going to take my job? Like, am I going to be outsourced? Like, am I done? And I think it's a very legitimate concern. I don't know if we look at it through the right lens all of the time. And I think part of that comes from not just understanding the pace and the speed at which AI is being innovated right now.
When you think about the challenges that the security industry has when it comes to AI, and given the reality of where we are, I think it's fair to say we're still in the midst of a hype cycle.
Yep.
What are the things that are top of mind for you when you think about the things we have to figure out, the challenges we have to face?
Yeah, I'll kind of slow this one down a little bit because I think it's the thing that everyone talks about, everyone's afraid about is like, what's really happening with AI? How do I filter the noise? How do I get through the marketing hype? How do I, find a way that it can be really beneficial for me? And that's kind of the big challenge that feeds a lot of the fear. I think when I look at it, what I often do is I kind of go back to my old, cybersecurity days, and it's like, what's my risk? And like, what's my real exposure? So if we look at AI adoption today, people are adopting it really quickly. We're innovating very fast, but we're not stopping and asking what we're doing with it. So like, if I was stepping into an organization today, and I did this with TrendAI, the first thing I want to see is, well, what are you using it, right? Like, where's my exposure? Not only what are you using, but how are you using it? What are you putting into it, right? What are your inputs? What's the data sources on these? And do you have management and control over that so that you just understand what your exposure really is? And I think the pace at which we're moving is bypassing a lot of that honest conversation for the sake of showcasing innovation.
Help me understand your passion for operations. Like, what is it about that aspect of things that you are so attracted to?
It's universal. What I learned when I moved from doing what I would call traditional Navy technology, there's an aspect of you're on a ship and that ship has a mission, and you're playing a role into making sure that mission is successful. And you can kind of understand that because you live together, you work together, you're on deployment together. So you start understanding maybe the operations schedule of that ship. And then I moved into the SEAL teams, and we started doing these operations that were ad hoc, completely mission-centric. You almost never know what's around the corner. You have to go in blind on a lot of things and try to get as much right as you can. And as I started working through some really interesting and fun, but also very challenging environments, what I realized is, the operations aspect of it, like the mechanics of operations, is pretty uniform. And I got very comfortable with the unknown and with the challenges, and I really liked the new challenges. So then as I moved across into university operations and different things like that, it kind of I quickly realized this is similar or the same principles, and you can apply those with anything. So I built a confidence where I felt, hopefully not arrogantly, that you can kind of drop me in any organization, and once I figure out the right mechanics, the principles of those operations will apply, and I'll be able to run. And I just really like that, because I think we get worried about like with AI, we get worried about being pushed out of an industry or a career.
Right.
And I've never felt that, because I felt like, oh, AI is the shift, but the fundamentals are the same. We need to apply fundamental operational principles to be successful in any organization.
It makes me think that that is a very analog thing in a digital world, like operations, the process of figuring that out, as you say, applicable broadly, but at its core, that's a very human thing.
Yeah, I talk about, like with AI, I talk a lot about human-centric, and the reason is we risk, in this idea of offloading or off-sourcing everything to AI, we risk our most valuable resource, which is our human context, our creativity, our ability to understand contextually, like in the environment, those things. Those are really hard challenges for AI to tackle, and yet we are kind of like expected to offload that. So when I think about operations, it's human-centric, and it's something that you can automate a process, and that's going to create efficiencies, but where and why you should automate those processes is where the value comes in from us.
I see.
Yeah.
I want to get back to AI and ask you, I don't know, the provocative question of like, what is the thing that keeps you up at night? You know, when you're walking around, and we're in a hype cycle, so things are changing and growing and expanding so quickly. Are there elements that you feel are unsettled, that that worry you?
There are. Probably the biggest one is there's still a big divide between what I'll say the business operations side of a business, and a lot of times this is the CEO and some of the boards, what they're driving this requirement to innovate, the need to showcase that you're leveraging AI, that you're bringing value, that there's an ROI. That's pushing the pace of adoption without the honest conversation, which is, do we have a governance framework? Do we have policies? Are we looking at it through the lens of, this is another tool that can upskill us, but we need to also understand the tool? Or are we just marching in and saying, for the sake of adoption and innovation? And I see that where there's, as much as I love innovation, I love AI, we're still not having those honest grassroots conversations around what's the impact of this, and how do I protect it, and how do I make sure that the users feel comfortable and my environment feels comfortable and they understand it foundationally. And so that gap in that foundational knowledge with a large percentage of your population at an organization that actually doesn't understand it, that scares me. Yeah.
Let me flip the question around. What do you suppose the opportunities are here?
The opportunity for me, and the things I'm excited about, is how do you teach people foundationally how to leverage AI in a way that really upskills them? We don't want to, and this is a hot topic I think now, is this idea of de-skilling our most valuable resources. Because if, you know, as an example, if I'm a security analyst, I'll use the security world for a second. As a security analyst, I'm in my organization, I understand, you know, what looks good and what doesn't for the most part. I have good context. And then if I say, okay, or like a developer, I say, okay, well, I'm going to offload that to AI because it can do it faster, maybe a little bit more efficient. Maybe it's not as accurate as me. And then I trust that. Slowly, I'm going to degrade my context and my skills. And at some point, it's going to make a mistake. We're not going to know, well, who's responsible? And then we may lose that knowledge of the contextual skilling piece of it to understand why it made that mistake and those things. So I think there's a huge opportunity to provide foundational access and foundational training to AI so that even your most basic users that are maybe using a ChatGPT or a Claude understand, well, why is it responding the way it is? You know, it's so simple when you talk to, we did this at SCAD, by the way, it was hugely impactful, was even though we had an AI major, and even though we had really advanced and talented people, when I talked to people, I realized, oh, you actually don't understand how this language model was trained and why it's being, you know, so congratulatory and so helpful, and so instead we had so many of our basic users interacting with it like it's Google, like a search engine, and it's so much more powerful. So we just stepped back and said, well, let's actually go to the basics. Let's teach you what an LLM is. How is it trained? How can you interact with it to get more resources? How can you build an agent? How can you build a persona around that agent? Just to do, low level, not highly technical things, but things that, to go back to that analogy of the high tide lifts all boats, things that can upskill everyone in the organization, not just those innovators and early adopters and techies that really like, OpenClaw as an example.
Right. All right, well, Johnny Hand is VP of AI Excellence with TrendAI. Johnny, thanks so much for taking the time for us.
Thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
My pleasure.